Good morning from Shanghai vinyl community. Curtis Young here with Young LP Lovers. I've got my coffee with me this morning, an ode to Robert on my turntable. This is definitely a coffee kind of morning here in Shanghai. All right, so I'm going to do a contest entry for Robert on my turntable today. 5 albums that influenced me as a teenager. This was a tough one for me because most of that music is home in Canada. And I try really hard not to, it's difficult, but not to buy music I already own. Some of these I have bought again just because I love them so much and I need them here with me. So when I started getting into music, my first love of music as a teenager, as a kid even, was hip hop. Right, so hip hop was my entry into good music. I listen to everything today, but it was definitely hip hop. I still love hip hop. So most of what you're going to see today, I think 4 out of the 5 are hip hop albums from the 90s. Yeah. So let's get started with the GOAT himself, the greatest of all time, LL Cool J. Ladies love Cool James. Yeah, so this is actually, I actually didn't have this album. This is his greatest hits, All World. It's a gatefold. Some LL pictures from the 80s with his hat. There's a big gold chain. So I had a Def Jam compilation when I was a kid, and I played the heck out of that record, man. CDs. It was a 4 CD set, and there's a ton of LL on that set. I think when I would have been listening to LL, but it would have been after his kind of 80s releases, like Can't Live Without My Radio and Around the Way Girl and things like that. Going back to Cali, it was probably down here with like Doing It and Lounging, Hey Lover, with collaboration with Boys Demand. So his mid-90s output is probably where I would have started really listening to LL, but I liked all of his older stuff as well. Mama Said Knock You Out and so forth. So just recently, last year, 2 years ago, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How about that? One of the few hip-hop acts in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think he was inducted in there's a couple of different categories. So it was one of the categories dealing more with his contribution to music, like holistically producing and so forth. So LL, Uncle L, reminds me of my riding around in my car with the cassette tape. I'd always make mixtapes, right? And I always had some LL Cool J on there. All right, let's go to the next band here. Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders. To this day, so I owned this album. It was probably one of my Columbia House or BMG purchases. This came out in 93, so I would have been 13 years old. So I might have got it when I was 94, 95 maybe. But this album just still holds up today, man. It's just such a good album. I can listen to it start to finish. Probably one of my favorite hip-hop albums of all time. Well, definitely one of them, if not my favorite. A lot of people prefer Low End Theory to Midnight Marauders, but for me, it's Midnight Marauders for the win. I listen to it a lot. So even though I have this one at home, or back in Canada, I needed to get it again just because it's such an amazing album. All right. Maybe the start of it all for me, maybe. The Chronic. So this, I don't know when this came out. I'm going to guess around 93 as well. So this was my introduction to the West Coast stuff, yeah? And everything that came out of this. So anyone watch the Super Bowl? that was for me. Yeah, that was my generation. That's what I grew up listening to. Big fan of the Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah, that was perfect for me. Let's see. What can I say about the Chronic that hasn't already been said? My goodness, it was just nothing but a G thing. Introducing Snoop to the world, Dre's producing skills, all the stuff he did with NWA prior to this. I definitely knew NWA, so maybe I knew NWA first. I don't know. Yeah, just a great album. This one doesn't quite hold up as good, in my opinion, as this one. I can't play this with my kids around. So, but it's still a great album. And again, I owned this one and just got loaded so much I had to get it again. So I wanted it on vinyl. I don't have a lot of hip hop on vinyl. So in fact, the next two I'm going to show are CDs. Let's get into it. The Fujis, The Score. So this is the Fujis' second album and last. So this, I think they took a little bit more control over their music for their second album. And Lauryn Hill did more, less rapping and more harmony, more singing. And of course, then she'd go on to release The Miseducation. Just a fantastic album from start to finish again. The version of Killing Me Softly is amazing. I was thinking about this when I picked it up. No Woman, No Cry. The version of No Woman, No Cry. It might have been, what year is this come out? 96. This is a Japanese pressing, or a Japanese issue. This might have been my introduction to Bob Marley. It's quite possible. 16. I don't know. But Bob Marley is like one of my favorite artists today. So I could owe that to Miss Lauryn Hill and the Fujis. So yeah, what a great album. Fuji Laws, amazing. And the things they would go on to produce afterwards. Wyclef has his own long-lasting career, and what's his name? Is it on? Oh my goodness, that's terrible. I forget. But he has a lot of output after this as well. Lauryn hasn't had a lot of output, but what she has had has been amazing. So, yeah, I've got Miseducation of Lauryn Hill in the mail, so it should be here. It's coming from America though, so it's going to be like over a month before it gets here. All right, the last one, skipping away from the hip hop now, going to my late teens. This came out in 1998, so 18 years old. So this is my first year university. I was introduced to this little poppy, I guess, Shakira. So this is her last album she released only in Spanish. Donde están los ladrones? And so, what can I say? So, one of the guys who lived in my dorm room in university had spent some time in Colombia. He had a burned CD with a bunch of music. We're driving around, and Shakira comes on, and me and the other fellows, this is really good. We really enjoy this. It's rocking. It was, Spanish and so forth. And so we went back and we were looking up more, downloading probably Napster in those days, in '98, or whatever illegal downloading service we had. Downloaded a bunch of music, and in there was a video as well. And so they were like, "Oh my God, and she's hot!" So that's all. We totally fell in love with Shakira, and then proceeded. We went down to Boston to see her on a tour of the Mongoose. Sort of did a little road trip. I think there's 4 or 5 of us went down, so that was a lot of fun. And then we went to see her all again in Toronto. At was it Maple Leaf Gardens, I guess? Yeah, it would have been Maple Leaf Gardens, or what's it called now? The Bell Centre? Air Canada Centre? No, Air Canada's Toronto, Montreal. yeah. Anyway, I think it would have been Maple Leaf Gardens back then. Yeah, so started the love affair with Shakira. I still like Shakira today. Her English stuff isn't quite as edgy and rocky as this. This is a rock album, more than it is a pop album, in my opinion. So yeah, she totally rocked. So yeah, those are 5 albums that influenced me as a teenager. Mostly hip hop with a little rock pop thrown in there at the end. Peace.